1944, deep in the mountains of Japan, under tight military guard, a captured P-51 Mustang rests in silence. Around it, teams of Japanese engineers swarm like surgeons, measuring every curve, photographing every rivet, and dissecting the very soul of the aircraft. What they discover will shake their faith in Japanese engineering and redefine their understanding of American power. Because the Mustang wasn't just another fighter. It was a mechanical revolution, so advanced that Japanese intelligence would later call it the devil's own machine. Yet behind those secret doors in Tokyo, what they truly thought of it would remain classified for decades. Their findings weren't what history books told us. They revealed fear, awe, and disbelief, not at the machine alone, but at what it represented. Today, we uncover those hidden Japanese intelligence files, the secret reports that show how the rising sun viewed America's most legendary fighter. From failed attempts to copy its design, to psychological analyses of pilot morale, this is the untold story of how one airplane quietly broke the spirit of the Imperial Japanese Air Force. Late 1943. Japanese radar operators stationed in the Kuril Islands pick up something they can't explain: American fighters escorting B-29 bombers deep into Japanese airspace. Not carrier-based planes. These came from land bases thousands of miles away. The range was impossible. Soon, Japanese pilots encountered this new adversary head-on. Sleek, silver, and terrifyingly fast, the P-51 Mustang cut through their skies with an elegance they'd never seen. Reports reaching Tokyo described a fighter that could fly farther than most bombers and still outfight Japan's best interceptors. For the first time since Pearl Harbor, Japan's home islands were no longer beyond reach. That protective bubble of distance, their greatest natural defense, had just been shattered. But the fear ran deeper than tactics. The Mustang didn't just outfly Japanese aircraft, it humiliated their philosophy. Where Japanese fighters like the Zero sacrificed armor for agility, the Mustang achieved both. Where Japanese doctrine prized spiritual purity over practicality, the Mustang was pure pragmatism. It was as if the aircraft itself mocked everything the Japanese believed about war. Colonel Teisher Yamamoto, head of fighter development, wrote in a secret memo in December 1943. The American long-range fighter represents not just a tactical threat, but a philosophical crisis. How can an aircraft achieve what our engineers deemed impossible? He couldn't have known that he was witnessing one of aviation's greatest collaborations, a fusion of British engineering and American industrial power that would change air combat forever. The Mustang's appearance over Japan wasn't just a tactical shock, it was psychological. Pilots who once fought on their own terms now faced an enemy that could follow them anywhere. The sky itself had turned hostile. When Japan recovered its first intact P-51 from a crash in Burma in early 1944, the engineers began a full technical autopsy. What they found left them speechless. The Mustang's beating heart, the Packard-built Merlin engine, astonished them. Japan had struggled for years to produce engines that could sustain power at high altitudes. The Merlin's two-stage, two-speed supercharger system was a masterpiece they couldn't duplicate. But the real shock came when they studied its construction. Japanese fighters were built like paper birds, light, fragile, and unarmored. The Mustang was the opposite, a tank that could dance. Declassified reports written decades later reveal just how deep the alarm went. Jiro Horikoshi, designer of the Zero, wrote after studying the captured Mustang. The Americans have achieved the impossible. This aircraft combines the range of a bomber with the performance of our best fighters, while maintaining strength we have never approached. Our entire design philosophy may be flawed. The Mustang's laminar flow wing baffled Japanese aerodynamicists. They had dismissed such designs as impractical. Yet here it was, mass-produced, combat-ready, and rewriting the rules of flight. Even the manufacturing quality stunned them. While Japanese fighters were hand-built by craftsmen, the Mustang rolled off American assembly lines with flawless precision. Factories that once made cars were now producing aircraft of astonishing consistency. It destroyed a myth the Japanese had clung to, that American weapons relied on quantity over quality. The Mustang proved both were possible. Nothing in Japan's war planning prepared them for an American fighter that could escort bombers from Iwo Jima to Tokyo and back. With an operational range over 1,600 miles, the P-51 made Japan's defensive strategy obsolete overnight. By late 1944, Mustangs were everywhere, escorting bombers, strafing ground targets, scouting enemy positions. The concept of safe zones vanished. Morale reports from Japanese air bases captured the growing despair. Ace pilot Saburo Sakai wrote, "The silver Mustangs appear without warning at impossible distances. How can we fight an enemy who can be anywhere?" Within 6 months, Japan's Air Force losses skyrocketed. Kill ratios flipped from 2-to-1 in Japan's favor to 8-to-1 for the Americans. Veterans who had once dominated the skies now found themselves helpless. Wing Commander Yasuoka Kuwahara summarized it bitterly. "It is faster, climbs better, dives better, and still has fuel when ours is nearly gone." The Mustang didn't just destroy aircraft. It destroyed confidence. As panic spread, Japanese engineers tried everything to counter the Mustang's dominance. They began with reverse engineering the captured plane. But the materials, metallurgy, and precision manufacturing required for the Merlin engine were beyond their wartime capacity. Fighter squadrons experimented with desperate tactics, even suicide ramming attacks designed to cripple Mustang formations. But the P-51's speed and maneuverability made such attempts futile. By late 1944, Japanese commanders turned to psychological warfare, training pilots through meditation and propaganda to resist the invincible American fighter. Internal bulletins urged them to attack only when they held overwhelming advantage and to disengage immediately otherwise. Perhaps the most ambitious response was Operation Kengo, a classified attempt to create a Mustang killer, using captured American designs mixed with German jet research. It devoured resources and time, producing only a handful of prototypes that never flew in combat. By early 1945, Japan's own military psychologists began reporting a full morale crisis. This wasn't mere fear, it was hopelessness. Dr. Kenji Yamada wrote, "Pilots report feeling defeated before battle begins. The Mustang's polished silver body and disciplined formations project an aura of inevitability. Many prefer death in a kamikaze unit over facing it in combat. Even ground crews lost faith, questioning the purpose of maintaining aircraft that stood no chance. Surveys ranked the P-51 as the most feared American fighter, above the Hellcat, above the Corsair." Captain Minoru Genda summarized the cultural shock. "They have proven that technology can overcome spirit. This is an existential threat to our philosophy." As Japan neared defeat, intelligence officers compiled their final secret analysis, evaluation of American long-range fighter capabilities. It concluded bluntly. The P-51 Mustang has fundamentally altered the strategic balance in the Pacific. Countering it through aircraft design is not feasible. 5 decisive factors were listed. 1. Unprecedented range. 2. Superior all-around performance. 3. Rugged construction. 4. Mass production without quality loss. 5. Tactical discipline that exploited every advantage. But the final section spoke of something deeper, a psychological defeat. The appearance of P-51 formations induces hesitation and early withdrawal among our pilots. Japan's Air Command accepted the unthinkable, the era of spirit over science was over. The P-51 Mustang had not only conquered the skies, it had conquered belief itself. It proved that industrial power, organization, and technology could defeat even the most devoted warrior. In the end, it wasn't just an aircraft that helped win the Pacific War. It was a symbol, an angel of metal and fire that taught the world a brutal truth: sometimes the most powerful weapon is not the one that destroys you, but the one that convinces you that resistance is already futile.